Don't Date Down Part 2. I'm making this 2 parts because I realized something. Before we get to that, do me a favor, please share my videos, subscribe, like, comment. I don't care if they're terrible comments. Excuse me, Jesus. I just ate and I got agita. Anyway, subscribe, like, share. I'm trying to get the subscriptions up. I think the content is pretty good. I'm working on, doing better as far as presentation and blah, 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 blah. But subscribe, like, share, so on. Okay, so last night, I watched the documentary. The documentary was called American Murder, The Family Next Door. It's on Netflix. And it got me thinking. I watched it, and then what happens is I think deeply. Usually it hits me like that, and then I start thinking deeply. So there is another scenario that I realized why women should not date weak men. And when I say don't date down, I mean don't date down mentally. Weakness comes from the mind, okay? So if a woman marries a weak man, there are consequences, okay? I stated my first few consequences in part 1. This is part 2, but there's only one other consequence, and I missed it, but it's a big one. Okay, and then once I explain this, then I'll get into the documentary I watched because, I'm going to tell you what made me think of this. Okay. Here's the thing. When you date or marry, especially marry, a weak man, he is not weak for you. He is weak, period. Okay? Scenario which I've seen happen before at least 3 times I can remember. Okay. Woman is dominant. She is emotionally, verbally abusive at times, passive aggressive. She chooses a weak man because that's the only type of person that is going to deal with it. And she chooses a weak man and she gets everything that she pretty much wants as far as her lifestyle. And I don't mean lifestyle as how much money and what. I'm talking about where she lives, who her friends are, who his friends are, what his hobbies are. She gets to choose because he's so weak that he just goes along with what she says. Anyway, you are married to this weak man. You are manipulating him, dominating him. You are basically, he is basically your bitch, okay? He is weak, period, end of story. He's not weak for you. He is weak. This is what I mean by that. You dominate him. You treat him like crap. He's still coming home every day. Inside, he is not feeling good about himself. Probably his entire life, depending on his upbringing. If he meets another girl that manipulates him in the opposite way, okay? I've seen this. What I mean is it manipulates him in the opposite way, which means has sex with him, shows him compassion, shows him love, makes him feel like a man. This could be all bullshit, by the way. She could be actually just putting up a front, but he doesn't know that because he's weak and stupid, right? What do you think is going to happen? He is gone. Gone. Because he's weak. Because this other girl gave him sex, gave him compassion, and he is just like, my God, this is what it's like to feel good, to feel like a man. I'm leaving my wife and my kids. He is so weak that he literally isolates his kids because now he has a new life with this woman. I've seen it happen. I've seen this happen, okay? I've seen it. There's in my neighborhood, family members, I've seen this happen, okay? And what it is this guy is so weak, he can't differentiate between who he should love and take care of and who is just some skank that he has fun with on the side and doesn't mean anything. Okay? So when this new girl gives it to him and gives him compassion and gives him love, well, he thinks he's getting compassion and love. She's really just, she's enjoying the fact that this married man, she's able to pull him, right? Because as we said before, a man's value is what he sees in, a man's value is being attached to another woman. When a man has a woman, that's valuable to another woman. So she's enjoying the fact that she can manipulate him and pull him toward her. She's kind of getting a high off this. Okay? What these men don't understand is that once he leaves and the divorce happens and so on and so forth, it goes right back to the original scenario. Anyway. He is weak in general. A strong man does everything for his kids and his wife. Okay? He does it voluntarily. He doesn't do it because you dominate him and he feels like he's going to be in trouble if he doesn't do it. He does it because inside he knows he has to do it. And those other girls on the side that's around, they're nothing. They mean nothing. If he does mess around, which is wrong, but if he does, those girls are nothing. They mean nothing. But this guy is so weak, the other girls could actually pull him away just by manipulating him a little bit, just by rubbing his back, making him feel food, saying you don't deserve to be treated like that. Gone. Like that. Usually they do it in a weak way, you know, blah, 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 whatever, but that's the case. And then you're yelling and screaming and freaking out and blah, blah, blah. That is another scenario that I completely forgot. And then when I watched this, documentary last night, okay, now I'm going to get into the documentary. So this is a spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the documentary, don't watch this from here on in. Oh, watch it though, because I need the views. But no, don't watch it from here on in if you haven't seen the documentary American Murder, okay? So here's the premise, and here's what got me thinking about the scenario. Okay, this woman marries this guy. This guy is a completely weak person, okay? The woman is completely dominant and obviously pinpoints him because she could get away with whatever, pretty much whatever she wants. Okay. She moves him across the country. They're from North Carolina. She moves him to Colorado. His parents and his family hate her because they move him, and they never see their grandchildren, right? Because they're on the other side of the country. So there's a scene where she goes to visit her family in North Carolina, and she makes up some crap about, I went to visit your mother, obviously her mother-in-law, and I had the baby, and she gave her some food that she was allergic to, and she was going to hurt the baby, so I don't want your mother around her anymore. And the guy was like, oh, I'll talk to her, that's not right. I'll talk to my mother and father, that's not right. Okay, again, weak, ridiculous, stupid, okay? So on and so forth. I mean, you got to watch the documentary. So the documentary is called American Murder, and it's about the Watts family. It's about, his name is Chris Watts, and his name should actually be lowlife, piece of shit, scumbag, shouldn't even be alive any longer, but he's in prison. His name is Chris Watts. So she goes to visit her family for 6 weeks. While this is happening, right, he meets another woman, okay? This woman is younger, sexier, because he's getting into working out. He loses a lot of weight. He's into working out. She's so much into working out that that's coming first before his kids and before his wife, right? So now his wife is really bugging, right? Because now she's like losing control. She's really bugging. And you could see they show the text messages, the venting to her girlfriend, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So he's messing around with this young girl. And he doesn't want to be with his wife anymore because he thinks he's in love with this young girl because he's fucking weak. Women, please do not date weak men. Please, I beg you, do not. And obviously, what happens in this documentary is not what's going to happen to you, but you're going to be miserable, and one of several scenarios will play out. Anyway, getting back to it. So, of course, he doesn't have the balls to actually tell his wife that he's leaving her for another woman because he's weak. So he's with this girl. He thinks he's in love, right? And that's another thing. Weak men don't know the difference between love. Love grows. He's in the passion mode. Like, oh my God, I'm having sex with this hot chick and she's enjoying it and treating me good and blah, blah, blah. He's a moron, okay? Again, spoiler, if you haven't watched it, don't watch my video, but watch my video. But don't watch my video, but watch it. Okay, anyway. This lowlife piece of shit murders his wife and his 2 kids and tries to make it look like it's somebody else kidnapped her or they ran off. Lies to the cops, makes phony phone calls, makes phony text messages. He finally comes clean because the cops kind of like have a suspicion that he's behind it. He was such a weak lowlife that instead of standing up to his wife and saying, I am unhappy, I need to leave, instead he killed his wife and his kids. Supposedly because his new girlfriend voiced her opinion that she has a problem with him having kids because she wants kids of her own. There was a little statement, you might miss it, where she's being interviewed by the police. The girlfriend is being interviewed by the police. And the police officer says, have you said anything like? And she goes, yeah, I have, but I didn't think he was going to do anything like this, right? So obviously he fails a polygraph. The cops figure it out. He gets sentenced to life in prison. And I can't understand how he's still alive. I would think that the prisoners figuring that they know how, because you know how prisoners are with pedophiles and rapists, they have their way with them. But killing your own 2 kids, I can't believe that the guy's still alive. I would think that they would cut him into pieces in prison. But who knows? Maybe they isolated him. Who the hell knows? I don't know the situation. Maybe things are different in prison that I don't know of. But this is, from what I understand, this is, pedophiles and rapists are not well liked in prison. It is not because that's weak. Because that's a weak movement. Being a pedophile and being a rapist and a child killer is weak. And you can't be weak in prison. And they will tear you apart. And I can't understand how this man is actually still alive. Anyway, okay. That is an extreme case. Obviously, that's 1 in 300 million. That's probably not going to happen. But I have seen where the guy meets another girl and really thinks that he's in love and he's unhappy and he leaves his wife and kids and he literally ignores his kids. I've seen this happen because now he's being manipulated by another woman. It's terrible. It's awful. These type of men are just worthless. And I see women marrying them. And in my head, I'm going, my God, this is a mistake. And I'm saying to myself, she's going to be miserable because she's not going to respect him. The sex isn't going to be good because she's not going to respect him. He's going to be miserable. He's going to be a weak guy where he's like a duh, like we said in part 1. And I had several, I talked about other things about teaching your son to be a man and teaching your daughter to be a respectful young lady and so on and so forth. And this scenario where he becomes dominated and manipulated by another girl is the most extreme scenario. And then he leaves and ignores his kids. Or kind of sort of touches with his kids on birthdays or holidays, but that's about it because the new wife doesn't want him to be around the old kids. Whatever. I've seen this happen firsthand. Okay? Firsthand. And you know who you are. Anyway. Watch the documentary unless you are weak-hearted. if you are weak-hearted, don't watch the documentary, because it is very, very sad and tragic what happens to these kids, and the wife. But I'm more sad for the kids, because the kids were adorable, and they're innocent. There's no reason for this. So please, ladies, don't date down. You are going to be unhappy, okay? Don't date a weak man. You are going to be unhappy. Obviously, you and your kids aren't going to end up dead, like in this documentary. But it's a possibility that he might leave you, that he just becomes miserable and is nothing more than a sperm donor for you and a paycheck. And who wants to be married to somebody like that, right? We don't want to marry an overgrown child that needs to be led. We're doing everything. Anyway, that's that. Okay, so I will not be making too many videos in the next week or two. I am going in for surgery. I have 3 bulging discs and spinal stenosis, and tomorrow morning I will be in the hospital getting surgery, having this corrected, and then hopefully I'll bounce back relatively soon, get back to work, get back to making videos, get back to the gym, although I'm expecting that to be the last thing, and hopefully we'll grow this YouTube channel and go from there. My 131 subscribers, I truly appreciate it. Truly, 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 because I love doing this. Really like doing this. I really like talking about things that I think are tremendously important and that could teach and lead others to be happier. I know I come off a little bit rough, but you know, with my language and the way I say things, but I'm just trying to be real about it, right? Who the hell would subscribe to like a Princeton professor using a lot of big words, but kind of saying the same shit that I'm saying, right? Like if you go watch Jordan Peterson, he says the same shit I say, except that you need a thesaurus to figure it out. Brilliant psychologist, by the way. Anyway, okay, guys, I'm going to let you go and, enjoy the weekend. And hopefully I'll be back soon. And remember, don't date down. Don't date mentally weak men. It's a big mistake. Don't. Okay. Later, guys.